which is one, two, three. Here we go. Talk about getting ready to go. It's time to get ready to go. That's really what we're going to be talking about here today, about getting ready to go. Are we forward looking or looking forward? Is there a difference? Actually, there really truly is a difference. What are we doing with our time? Are we putting it in the right place? How to really know that? What is it that we're really trying to accomplish? And who are we as a person? What is it, that personality that we have besides skill set, that we really want to put into the business? And does it really make a difference what your personality is as to how you're going to develop your business? Well, Julio, what do you think about that one? I think absolutely. All right, so our guest here, before he says a word, he is the driving force behind the Briones Consulting Group. Why? Because, well, his name is Julio Briones, so it would only make sense that he's the driving engine behind it. But that's because he is that take charge personality, and he is. I'm not going to use the word micromanager in there, but you are very, very proactive, forward looking as you look forward to different opportunities. And quote, create luck. Yeah, but you make things happen. So it's a pleasure to have you on here, today, to discuss the business, how you approach things, and what you do, why you do what you do.
Oh, thanks, Brian. I really do appreciate this. I always love being a guest on here, and you have a great show. Now, yeah, being forward looking is a big part of business planning. I mean, just, you know, it's really got to do with a little bit of everything in life. It doesn't really matter, but specifically in business, I find this a lot, especially with newer business owners. Like they have a hard time deciding, just what do I want to do? Well, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at the other thing. I hate my day job, I love my day job, I love what I do, but I hate my boss. Like there's a lot of things, like, because that's kind of where I found myself a few years ago. I
Uh-huh.
love what I do, I just didn't really care much for the people I worked for. I mean, they were nice people, we didn't see eye to eye when it came to management style. And I had to just stop one day and ask myself, well, what do I really want to do? And then I had to ask myself the even more important question, which we talked a little bit about a number of times now. And what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I committed to get to my goal? Yeah.
Yeah, and that is such a big deal in the whole thing, because we
It,
could sit here, and one of the books I got behind me is 3 Feet from Goal, and sometimes you could use it as the justification
yeah.
of of just, oh, I just keep going and just keep going. But it's not just keep going. There's got to be a direction to it. But then there's all these constraints that get tossed into the
Yeah.
equation. Also it's okay. So like, how much are you willing to sacrifice, which is really big.
Yeah.
But what even can be sacrificed? What is it, the stuff that you're doing that you cannot give up? And
Right.
that's a factor into the whole thing too. And one of the things that I've run across with doing these interviews with various people is that a lot of folks have come from the corporate world, and they've made that transition. They made that jump going over. And, if we just sit here and look at, the success story of the whole thing, it's all a wonderful thing. But there's that challenge that went in there. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so can you, and this is a big factor too, can you start that side gig?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a side gig. It's a hobby, it turns into something, and then maybe you could slowly make the transition, where other people just said, that's it, enough's enough, and boom, and go. But those are two hugely different set of circumstances that go along with it also.
They are, but even that decision, do I want to make my hobby into a side hustle or a side gig, or do I want to turn that side gig into a full-time business? And this is something I actually have come across a lot, that coming from corporate America into entrepreneurship, let me tell you, that is a tough transition for some people, because you're going from, even like, look, I've had clients that are really high up in large corporations that want to transition into, private ownership. And that's one of the big issues that they have to get out of the mindset of, when you walk into, let's say, American Express or Prudential, or Geico, or wherever it is that you're working, or Amazon, you have a very large fixed budget. It's other people's money. You have all the policies and procedures in place. So your decision might not go exactly as you envisioned it, but you're not really affecting yourself. What's the worst that's going to happen? You have to hang your shingle out and send your resume to another company. That's the worst. You know, when they transition from that to all of a sudden now it's my money, now it's my family's well-being on the line, now it's, you know, my house on the line, it's the, you know, depending on the business they're starting, you know, 2 3 400,000 $1 million SBA loan that's going to affect my business. All of a sudden they panic and they forget all the skills that they had when they were in corporate America.
Therein lies the difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
folks that are very good at a skill set, but
Yep.
then are they good at running a business with that
Right.
skill set, or is their skill set something? The creative world is probably the easiest explanation of that. Hey,
Yeah.
and I take photos, so I'm not talking about me here, but if you're a great photographer, an absolutely stupendous photographer, you could go out and you could sell your services, you could do all of that stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately you're running a business. So
Exactly.
you have to be a great photographer, but also a great business owner, or at least a
Yes.
darn good business owner, or understand that you're not a good business owner. So you now know what you don't know, which is a quote I love using too. You know, if
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know, you're in trouble. You're just
And
flat out in trouble. Because
oh,
if you think you
absolutely.
know it and you don't, you're done. But if you know you don't know it, then you could outsource that kind of thing. So you could become a great photographer.
Yep.
But that sacrifice thing is that now you have to hire somebody to run your business, which now all of a sudden income becomes a little bit more challenging because you're not taking home every dollar, and
Yes.
you're back to sacrifice again.
Right. And that's actually one of the things that I go through when we're in the planning stage with people. It's, you know, like it, I actually go through this whole exercise where we create like this business avatar. Okay. And if you, do you mind if I share it at this point so we can talk a little bit about it?
Sure, go right ahead. And this is your world here.
Yeah.
Hey, by the
So,
way, we never even told anybody. So,
oh,
so Julio, by the way, besides
yes.
being a great guy, a guest a couple of times over, somebody who I just love to chat with because it's ideas flow, and I do believe we are 3 feet from gold,
Yeah.
as that continues to go. But you are in the consulting role,
Yes.
you
Right here. I am a senior care business consultant. So I help all everything from, you know, people who want to get into the field of senior placement to home healthcare companies, home health aid agencies, companionship services. You know, I even help, you know, people in the marketing and business development fields of hospice, assisted living, so on and so forth. It's just a number of different businesses and ancillary businesses that deal with the private pay senior world. And I mean, it's 10,000 people a day turning 65 in the United States alone. You know, so it's a booming business and it's going to keep just growing.
No, without a doubt. So you're the reality check too. We'll throw
Yeah.
that little title in there. It's like, hey Julio, I'm thinking about starting. I want to start
Oh, yes.
a senior care business because I've seen whatever my parents go through different things. I think
Yes.
I could do it better. I want to start a business, and you
Um,
have these visions of grandeur, and then all of a sudden the reality check comes in, which I got to feel in this business avatar worksheet is somewhat the reality check
oh, it
of what it
is.
really takes.
This is, I mean, look, one of my first conversation with most people trying to start a new business, as counterintuitive as it may seem, is I try to talk them out of it. You know, just I'm really, I mean, again, it's not anything that it sounds counterintuitive. Like, why would I want to turn away business? Well, because the fact is, there's two things I hate. One is seeing people get ripped off. Okay, and I don't want to be that guy. And number two, if you're just not ready, if you're not well capitalized, if there's something missing, I'll work with you. but you got to know what you're really going to face. And this is part of why between this and budgeting are the first things that I do with any prospective client. You know, so let's just run down the list here. We'll take a company, okay? Any random company. So let's start with what type of owner this person is, okay? Are you a hands-on owner right now, or are you an absentee owner, like meaning you just don't want to be there at all? You just want to go on your dashboard and check the numbers at the end of the month? Or are you a semi-absentee owner, the type of person that just comes in and checks in on the place every week or every few days or once a quarter? Like, how do you want to run your business? And this is one of the things we talked about before we started live. If you don't have a business that has systems and stuff in place, you're never going to sell the business. So you got to plan day one what you want to do 10 years from now. Do you want to sell the business, or do you want to keep it and leave it as a legacy? Because even then, you have to have all your policies, procedures, and systems in place to make it transferable. Briones Consulting Group is not a transferable thing unless one of my kids want to take it over. All right, the name alone stops that. You know, but it's one of the things you have to do this strategically in such a way that you're, as you say all the time, you are working in a forward-looking manner and not just looking to see what can happen next week. You got to look to see where you want to be 5 years, 10 years, whatever, a year from now.
And really, truly what you want out of the business.
Right.
So
right.
if I just want a business that I'm overseeing, it's one thing. If I'm looking for cash flow, I'm looking for a comfortable retirement for me, a supplemental income, it's one thing. If I'm looking to pass this along to, if I'm looking to sell the business, if I'm looking to ultimately sell the business, I want to bust my chops, grow the business for the next 5-10 years, and then sell it. I shouldn't have my name in there for one, as an obvious one.
Yes.
But everything that's a part of that business needs to be delegated to somebody else. Maybe not right at the beginning, but it needs to be delegated to somebody else. So you're kind of telling me if I'm a micromanager, this is probably not going to be the easiest transition, is it?
It's not going to be a good transition. It's not going to be a well-functioning business. Like, look, let's take my wheelhouse, okay? Senior care, but this applies really to any service business. If the business relies 100% on you, if you really think you are indispensable, you've already failed. You know, it's no different than the people who delude themselves in corporate America to thinking, I am an irreplaceable asset in this company. I promise you, if you die tomorrow, the ad will be up before your body gets cold. Okay? And that's a very harsh way to put things, but this is the reality. And you need to structure your business in such a way that everything that you do becomes plug and play. If you run your books, make sure you have detailed instructions on how someone else can run your books. If you have a specific method for client onboarding, make sure that is somewhere that can be replicated. And, you know, this is one of the things that you got to do. So we're going to keep it simple, because I know that this exercise usually takes me like an hour or two to go through with someone.
Oh no, we'll go quick.
Yeah, we're gonna just stick with the ownership type. Okay. Yeah. So if our ownership type is hands-on, okay, we're gonna go with hands-on here. And we want to go from hands-on to absentee. Meaning we have that the business can run even if we go to Tahiti for the next 6 months. Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to transition, create policies and procedures, create a workable system. Okay. And we have to refine, P&P, policies and procedures. Well, now here's the next big part. And this is the next issue, that now we have our goals. We have understanding of what we want to change. Here's the last thing. When do you want to do it by?
Mm.
If you have a goal without a date, it becomes a wish, you know, and we all know how useful wishes can be,
Yeah.
so complete transition by, let's just say 12/1/2021. Okay.
That's all right. You don't teach typing. We're okay.
Yeah, we'll go with November 1st. All right.
Well, we're doing the European date. It's fine.
Yes, that's what it was. All right. So
We adapt.
November 1st, 2021, we want to complete the transition. So now here's the next big important question. And this is the part of the equation that when people set goals, they always leave to the side. What are you committed to doing? What's your value? Like what? Because look, let's be realistic. Okay, and this is part of why I'm always accused of trying to talk people out of starting businesses. If you're not willing to commit, stop thinking about it. That just let the whole delusion of what you want to do go, because you can have goals and plans and everything else, but if you're not willing to commit or make a sacrifice, everything requires a sacrifice in life, good or bad, it does not matter. If you want to have kids, you have to sacrifice the time that it takes to raise them. If you want to make $1 million, you have to sacrifice a little bit of time so you could study, time to prepare, time to learn skill set. You may have to invest some money, everything. And now the ROI, that return on whatever you invested, could be great, but you also have to be willing to take that risk. So if you're not committed to making these goals happen, then don't do it. So in this example, what are we willing to commit? Let's say we're going to commit 20 hours, 20 hours a week. We're going to dedicate 20 hours a week to refine our P&P manual. We're going to refine creating our workable system 20 hours a week. This is what we're going to do. What else are we going to commit to? Well, I really don't know how to create policy and procedures, so we're going to hire a consultant. And what else do we need? Well, now we need to train staff, so we're going to hire new staff, and we are going to dedicate 10 hours a week to training. And now we have a plan. Now this is starting to look like a workable plan that's going to actually allow you to change your transition. So what challenges are we facing? What can you imagine that's going to be a transition to this? One, our own mindset. Okay, what other challenges will we face typically with this? Hold on, I lost my mouse. There we go.
I think you're looking at, you got a time constraint, because if
There
you're
we
making
have.
a transition from corporate America to your own business,
Yep,
20, 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week, it is
that's
a
a big
lot.
sacrifice. Yeah,
Time,
time
and then
management.
technical expertise here too. Like,
Yep,
besides who's writing policy and procedure, who's doing the training and stuff like that. And I'm
exactly.
also thinking here too is like, and obviously you come from more of an an organized mindset with the whole thing. Talk about mindset, much more
Yeah.
of an organized mindset. I like to look at things from a big picture mindset.
Right.
So that's where I come up with the I know what I don't know, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Well,
So
but
um,
recognizing that you know what you don't know is actually a big deal. Because if there's an old expression, closed mouths don't get fed. Okay. So if you don't recognize that you're lacking somewhere, that's a big problem. you know so now here's the thing, with every good problem needs a solution. All right, so what are your solutions? How do you fix all of this? Well, if your mindset's a problem and you can't stop and figure out how to change that, go see a coach. Get a coach or therapist. Whatever it is you need. What else is there? There's here we go. You know what? If there's time management problems, maybe get a
To get a
calendar,
partner
accountability partner.
or partner.
There you go.
I mean, I could see, like you and I going into business together because
Yeah,
you like all the gory details and that kind
yeah.
of thing.
And
So,
and sometimes you need both. You might need that complement. So here's the next piece of it. Well, what am I talented at? What do I like to do? There's a simple rule for business success, and it's the most simplest thing in the world. If you don't like doing it, don't do it. The minute you start doing stuff that you don't enjoy doing in your business, you've stopped being a business owner and you've created a job for yourself. Okay, we all hate the 9 to 5 grind. If you're an entrepreneur, you hate the 9 to 5 grind. There's no autonomy in that. There's no joy. Most corporate jobs suck the joy out of life. Okay, not for everybody. Look, I do believe that there are people that are great employees and terrible business owners. But if you already recognize in yourself, actually, if you're having conversation with me at some point, it's because you've already recognized corporate America is not for you.
Mhm.
All right. So what does that mean? That means you hate that 9 to 5. That it is a soul-sucking experience for you. So what are you good at? Are you good at, budgeting? You know, Great. Are we good at marketing and sales? In your case, big picture thinking. So now, what are the personal liabilities? So what do you hate doing? And brings me back to what I just said a moment ago. If you don't like doing it, don't outsource it. Look, there's a lot of stuff that could be outsourced. You have Upworks, Fiverr, you have Craigslist, you have there's hundreds of websites out there that you could find people that are willing to work as a gig worker to do the stuff you hate to do. They're all out there. You can get, I mean, if you're really interested in saving money, there's websites out there that you can hire somebody out in the Philippines or in the Middle East to work as a virtual assistant for like $3 an hour because of the exchange rates.
but there's a lot of stuff you're talking about over here. You can't do that. You really need to hire. If you're not going to write your own policy and procedure book,
Hire
you
somebody.
must go to somebody that really knows how to do that.
No,
So you've got another liability in there is,
well,
cash flow from
but again, we're not doing a full business analysis here. You
yeah.
are right. Cash flow could be a problem. But, and again, if we're going to bring challenge here, cash flow as a challenge, what is the solution? Well, business partner is one. Another one is just investor. Another one is, loans, business loans. Maybe credit, revolving credit, self-financing, fundraising. Here, let's take a look at this from a fundraising perspective. Let's say you're your average person with aspirations, but it's a bad economy and just cash is tight. Well, what do? So let's take me, for example. What would I do? Well, I'm really good at paperwork. So I'm going to put myself on, Craigslist, or I'm just going to put an ad up on Facebook. Hey, anyone need their whatever business plan written up for them? And I'll do that. Or hey, you need help filling out that, figuring out your budget. Let's talk. And I'm going to sell it for dirt cheap. I'm going to make my money in volume, raise enough money to move on to the next step. Okay, well, let's see. I need to raise $5,000 to hire a P&P consultant. Great. How many small tasks can I complete to reach that $5,000 goal? And this is what it comes down to. If you're not willing, again, it brings me back to all of this. If you're not willing to commit, what is it? What are your personal values? What do you consider valuable about your goals? And what are you willing to commit to get to them? And this is what it comes down to. And now the final thing that I find very important here is setting milestones. Goals are not good if they are not achievable. Okay. So if I need to create, refine my P&P manual, well, what would be considered a win in the next 90 days for me? Have the consultant hired? That could be a win. Maybe outline my system as a big picture. That could be considered a win. Have the money in the next 90 days to be able to hire the people that I need. Maybe have hired a coach in order to change my mindset within the next 90 days. All of these things, they all compile on each other. But if you're not rewarding yourself and you're not recognizing your wins, then you're not going to achieve your desired result. And this works with anything. It doesn't matter if your goal is to increase your monthly revenue because you already have a business, or even if you have a job and you just need, let's say your current monthly revenue is about $3,000 a month. Okay. So you're making $35,000 a year and you want to increase your revenue in the next year to $10,000 a month. Well, how are we going to do that? What do you need to sacrifice to make it there? Is it a doable thing? Absolutely. You're only talking about increasing your income levels. Now, is it easy for everybody? No, because most people dream about it, but they don't understand that at some point you have to put, the rubber to the road. All right. And you have to be able to match what you're willing to commit to what you want to accomplish.
And there's a lot of considerations in here with this whole thing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Of
because
course.
generate,
I said this, my typical thing, it's a 2-hour session that I go through with people, and it involves everything. Like when I do this exercise with people, I go through budget. What is it? How much is it going to actually run to start your business? What do you actually need to operate month to month? Because the first goal in any business that I've ever worked with, whether in senior care space or in other service business spaces, it's always let's hit zero. Zero is that first goal. That business needs to stop costing you money.
yeah.
Once we hit monthly break even to where it's not costing you anything, that does so much for your mindset. That does so much for your peace of mind. And it does the most important thing to any business owner. The day you hit zero is the day you get a first good night's sleep.
Yeah. But I've seen this conversation, or I've actually had this conversation, not as in depth as you've done, but there's a few things that can be changed in there with these folks that want to become professional speakers.
Right.
And even that question, is like, okay, what does a professional speaker mean to you? Are you
Right.
getting paid to speak, or are you getting hired when you are speaking in front of a group? Simple question, but all
Very
of a sudden
different
there's a lot
approach.
of thought process that goes on it, because now what does that business look like? Also, it is obviously, if you're a professional speaker, it's tough to sell that business. Or is there ways to sell a business? And there actually is. Some of these folks that have built up huge names for them, they've got the
Yeah.
books, the videos, all the rest of this stuff. So they're
Right.
not
And
giving
they
live
sell the
presentation.
system. Right.
Yeah. So does Dale Carnegie.
Tony
Going back
Robbins.
to our 3 Feet from Gold guy, which Greg Reed, by the way, was one of the co-writers on that book.
Okay.
So let me give him credit there.
Nice.
Part of the Dale Carnegie Institute and all the rest of that. But that Dale Carnegie, which was an individual person, has now become quite the institution. So everything is possible. It's a lot of hard looking, though, to go take a look to see what it is that you can do, can't do, how to do it, and those other considerations are there. You are a therapist. We're gonna put title in there.
well, maybe next year.
There we go.
I'm working. I'm actually, fun fact, I am actually working on a PhD in business ethics, and my business avatar is part of my dissertation.
Nice. Good for you.
Yes, yes,
Business
thank
ethics is a big deal. Oh my God,
you.
is that we'll have you back on to talk about that one because the considerations that businesses have now
Yes.
with employees, I mean, with the mask, not mask, get vaccinated, not get vaccinated, have to do it. What does the mask say or not say? Is it just blank? Is it company logo? Is it thought processes? Oh, there's so many different ways of
Yeah, I mean,
everything that goes along. Do you support or not support some other political things, or why even go down that path? So
yes, yes. But yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, my whole thing is, I work in with a lot of the senior care businesses, and there's a lot of scam artists. All right, and like for me personally, the reason why ethics is so important is you'll be amazed how many people work in my space in, business consulting, that just went into it because of COVID, because they lost their job, and now all of a sudden they want to be a consultant.
yeah,
And I've taken on clients for free because they, like, one person, I took her on as a client for almost 3 months for free because one of these consultants ripped her off for $12,000.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but there's something wrong with you mentally if you're ripping people off like that. If you don't know what you're doing, I understand you have a need, but if you don't know what you're doing, why are you trying to steal from people? That's just wrong.
absolutely.
You
See, I'll give
know,
you the other side of that one because I love the fact that you actually are sitting there almost trying to convince people not to do something rather
yeah,
than to do something because they got to understand the whole thing.
yeah.
So, friend of mine went to go hire somebody, and that person said, "Did you read my book?" And the answer was no. And he says, "Well, I'm not even going to talk to you until you read the book."
Are
They
you
want to know,
kidding?
they wanted to know about the sincerity. What are they willing to sacrifice? So we could use your words on that one.
Yeah.
Buying a $20 book and actually reading it was the initial thing. And, truth be told, there's a lot of people, this guy did do that, but a lot of people won't even go that far. So if you're not willing to read a book,
Oh yeah, yeah. But this
it's
is
like, what are
why
you doing?
I don't like if somebody wants free, you know what? I have a YouTube channel, I have a Facebook group. You want to learn about what I do for free? Go ahead, knock yourself out. But if you want my time, show me you're willing to sacrifice. I Even if it's $1, I make people pay for almost everything. Even if it's as little as $1. The reason being is because if you're not willing to sacrifice $1, then what makes me believe that you are willing to sacrifice to grow your business?
Right. That's
And it's
absolutely
about
it.
commitment. That's all it's about.
Yep. Yep. And there's a lot of folks that need to sacrifice along with you if you're
Yes.
married, spouse, partner,
Yes.
whatever,
Exactly.
and even some of your near and dear friends that you're going, you're like, oh man, this is so hard. They got to listen to it too. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of folks that sacrifice along the way. You got to be sure that you're
Absolutely.
doing things right. Julio, I know you're doing things right, man. You're spot on. Love having you on over here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me as usual. This is always an amazing experience.
I enjoy it so much. Always learn a lot too as we go through these things. And it's like breaking down goals. You really, truly are breaking down those steps into goals,
Yeah.
manageable goals. And if you can't hit them and you can't make the sacrifice and if you can't put the time, energy, and
And then
effort into it,
there's
what are you doing?
I really do. I mean, just like I said, just yesterday, it's actually funny. I had that conversation with three separate and distinct people. If you're not willing to do it, stop thinking about it. Just really do yourself a favor, because if you either want to move forward or you don't. And if you don't, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a good employee. There's nothing wrong with retiring with a pension plan. There's really nothing wrong with that. But if your ambitions are to have a business, then, to paraphrase in a very raunchy expression, you got to poop or get off the pot. you know, that's just how it goes.
I'm ending on that note. That's it. I'll give my three things. You did your thing. We're all good to go. Definitely. As you move forward with the business ethics, man, that is an unbelievably terrific topic. Maybe we'll go with a whole week of people within that world, from the PR, ethics, employee
Yeah.
issues, all the rest of that kind of stuff.
All
So
right. All
it's
right.
another one of those moving targets that are out there.
Yeah.
Integrity should not be. Integrity definitely should not be a
Never.
moving target. You got to have
Exactly.
that no matter what it is that you're doing. All right, Julio.
All right.
We'll put the link up for the whole thing. You just want to give your business name out there one more time and how
Yes,
people can
I
reach
am
out
the
to
Briones
you.
Consulting Group. Here you go. Give us a call if you're looking to get into either start, grow, or scale your senior care business. We can definitely help you with all three of those.
And find out the realities of it.
Oh, yes.
All right, my friend. Stay well.
All right, you too.
All right. Final comment. Final comment is this: speak well, speak often, and live inspired. For you, you got to live inspired for you. Then it will grow from there. Have an absolutely wonderful day.